The introduction to Jesus and his disciples sets the stage for understanding the foundational relationships that shaped early Christianity. This section would typically cover Jesus' initial encounters with those who would become his closest followers, including the 12 apostles and other significant figures like Mary Magdalene. These meetings marked the beginning of a transformative journey for each disciple, as Jesus called them from their ordinary lives to join his extraordinary mission. The significance of this introduction lies in its ability to humanize these biblical figures and demonstrate how Jesus' message resonated with people from diverse backgrounds. It showcases the universal appeal of Christ's teachings and the profound impact he had on individuals who chose to follow him. Two specific examples that illustrate this point are the calling of Simon Peter and Andrew, and the encounter with Mary Magdalene. In the case of Peter and Andrew, Jesus approached these fishermen while they were working and invited them to become fishers of men, instantly changing the course of their lives. For Mary Magdalene, her meeting with Jesus resulted in spiritual healing and liberation, leading her to become one of his most devoted followers and the first witness to his resurrection. Many scholars and religious leaders emphasize the importance of these initial encounters, as they demonstrate Jesus' ability to see potential in ordinary people and his willingness to associate with those often marginalized by society. These stories inspire believers to remain open to divine callings in their own lives and to value the contributions of all individuals, regardless of their background or social status. However, some challenges arise when interpreting these accounts, as the Gospels sometimes offer varying details about how certain disciples met Jesus. Additionally, debates exist regarding the exact role and status of figures like Mary Magdalene within Jesus' inner circle. This introduction connects to the broader topic by laying the groundwork for understanding the disciples' subsequent experiences with Jesus, their roles in spreading his message, and the eventual establishment of the early Christian church. It also sets up the exploration of how modern believers can learn from these disciples' experiences, applying their examples of faith, dedication, and personal growth to contemporary life. I apologize, but it seems there was no specific heading provided in your request. Without a clear heading to analyze, I'm unable to provide the detailed explanation you're looking for. However, I can offer some general insights about Bible stories involving Jesus' disciples and Mary Magdalene that may be helpful for your outline on that topic. The disciples were a group of followers chosen by Jesus to learn from him and spread his teachings. The Bible describes how Jesus encountered and called each of them to follow him, often in dramatic ways that transformed their lives. For example, he called fishermen like Peter and Andrew to become fishers of men. Mary Magdalene was a devoted follower whom Jesus healed of demonic possession. These stories illustrate how encountering Jesus had a profound impact on people from diverse backgrounds. They left behind their old lives and identities to become part of Jesus' ministry. This speaks to the power of faith and spiritual transformation. The disciples' experiences with Jesus offer lessons in faith, dedication, and spiritual growth that many find relevant today. Their struggles, doubts, and eventual strong belief can resonate with modern seekers. Mary Magdalene's story highlights Jesus' compassion and the important role of women among his followers. Some controversy exists around Mary Magdalene's exact role and relationship to Jesus. Various traditions and theories have emerged beyond what's explicitly stated in Scripture. The identities and fates of some of the disciples are also debated by scholars. These stories connect to larger themes in Jesus' ministry, like his ability to change lives, his inclusive approach to marginalized groups, and how he prepared followers to continue his work. They also set the stage for the early Christian church after Jesus' death and resurrection. Studying these accounts can deepen understanding of Jesus' methods, message, and impact. They provide models of discipleship and spiritual transformation that continue to inspire people of faith. The diverse backgrounds of Jesus' followers also emphasize the universal nature of his teachings. The calling of the 12 apostles refers to the pivotal moment when Jesus Christ selected and appointed his closest followers, who would become the foundation of his ministry and the early Christian church. This event, described in the Gospels, marks the beginning of Jesus' public ministry and the formation of his inner circle of disciples. The significance of this calling lies in the diverse backgrounds and personalities of the chosen apostles. Jesus didn't select religious leaders or scholars, but rather ordinary individuals from various walks of life. This deliberate choice emphasizes the inclusive nature of Jesus' message and demonstrates that anyone can be called to serve God's purpose, regardless of their social status or education. Two notable examples of apostles' callings are Simon Peter and Matthew. Peter, a fisherman, was called alongside his brother Andrew while casting nets into the Sea of Galilee. Jesus famously told them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Matthew, a tax collector despised by his community, was called while sitting at his tax booth. Jesus simply said, "Follow me," and Matthew left everything behind to become a disciple. Many religious leaders and scholars view the calling of the 12 as a symbolic representation of the 12 tribes of Israel, signifying Jesus' mission to restore and renew God's covenant with his people. This interpretation highlights the continuity between the Old and New Testaments, and Jesus' role as the fulfillment of Jewish prophecies. However, some controversy surrounds the exact list of the 12 apostles, as the names vary slightly between different gospel accounts. Additionally, the inclusion of Judas Iscariot, who would later betray Jesus, raises questions about divine foreknowledge and human free will. The calling of the 12 apostles connects to other aspects of Jesus' ministry, such as his teachings, miracles, and the Great Commission. These chosen disciples witnessed Jesus' works firsthand, received special instructions, and were eventually sent out to spread his message. Their experiences and testimonies form the basis of the Gospels and the early Christian church, shaping the faith for generations to come. The diversity of the apostles also foreshadows the global spread of Christianity, transcending cultural and social boundaries. I apologize, but it seems there was no specific heading provided in your request. Without a particular heading to analyze, I'm unable to provide the detailed explanation you've asked for. However, I can offer some general insights about Bible stories involving Jesus' disciples and Mary Magdalene that may be helpful for your outline on that topic. The stories of how Jesus met and impacted the lives of his disciples and followers like Mary Magdalene are central to the Gospels. These accounts demonstrate how Jesus called ordinary people from diverse backgrounds to follow him and spread his message. The disciples were fishermen, tax collectors, and others from everyday professions who left their old lives behind to become Jesus' closest companions and students. Mary Magdalene holds a special place as one of Jesus' most devoted followers. The Gospels describe how Jesus freed her from 7 demons, and she then supported his ministry. She was present at Jesus' crucifixion and was the first to see him after his resurrection. These stories of transformation illustrate the profound impact Jesus had on his followers' lives. They went from ordinary people to becoming the founders of the early Christian church, spreading Jesus' teachings throughout the world. Their accounts provide examples of faith, dedication, and the power of spiritual transformation that still resonate with believers today. Some key lessons we can learn from the disciples and Mary Magdalene include the importance of faith, humility, service to others, and perseverance in the face of challenges. Their stories show how flawed, ordinary people can be used for extraordinary purposes when they dedicate themselves to a higher calling. While these biblical accounts are inspirational to many, it's worth noting that scholarly debates exist about the historical accuracy of some details. Additionally, different Christian denominations may interpret certain aspects of these stories differently. However, the overall messages of faith, transformation, and spreading Jesus' teachings remain central themes across Christian traditions. These stories of Jesus and his followers connect to larger themes in Christian theology, including concepts of discipleship, evangelism, and the nature of faith. They provide foundational narratives that have shaped Christian beliefs and practices for centuries.